Let me tell you something most men learn the hard way. The moment you stop caring so much about keeping her is the exact moment she starts worrying about losing you. Most guys make the same mistake in relationships and dating. The moment they start liking a woman, they begin chasing harder. They text more, they call more. They try to prove themselves, they try to impress her. They start giving more attention, more validation, more effort, thinking that if they just show her how much they care, she'll appreciate it and fall deeper for them. But the reality of attraction doesn't work that way. When a man chases too much, he unknowingly gives away his power. He puts the woman in the position of being the prize, and suddenly the balance between the two people starts shifting. Instead of two people meeting in the middle, one person is constantly trying to win the other over. And when that happens, something interesting begins to occur. The mystery disappears, the challenge disappears, the excitement disappears. If she knows you're always there, always available, always ready to respond within seconds, always waiting for her attention, there's nothing left for her to wonder about. Human nature doesn't value what is guaranteed. People value what they might lose. This is why everything changes the moment a man stops giving so much unnecessary attention, not because he's playing games, but because he finally starts focusing on himself again. He stops chasing every message. He stops overthinking every interaction. He stops trying to constantly prove that he's good enough. Instead, he redirects that energy into his own life, his goals, his purpose, his growth, and the things that actually make him feel alive. And when that shift happens, something powerful occurs in the dynamic. Suddenly, the man who was once always available is no longer predictable. The energy that used to constantly flow toward her is now being pulled back, and when that attention disappears, it creates a psychological vacuum. Now she starts wondering what changed. She notices you're not reacting the same way anymore. You're not trying so hard, you're calm, you're relaxed, you're focused on your own world. Instead of constantly seeking her approval, you're living your life, whether she's there or not. That's when the dynamic flips. The same woman who once felt completely in control of the situation begins to feel something different: curiosity, uncertainty, sometimes even a little anxiety. Because when a man stops acting like he needs her, she begins to question whether she might lose him. And that's when attraction often reignites, not because you forced it, begged for it, or chased it, but because you stopped trying to control it and started valuing yourself. The moment you stop chasing is the moment the power finally returns to where it always should have been. One of the most powerful things that changes the entire dynamic between a man and a woman is emotional detachment. Not coldness, not cruelty, and not pretending you don't care. It's something deeper than that. It's the ability to remain calm, centered, and unaffected by every little emotional wave that comes your way. Many men fall into the trap of reacting to everything. If she takes longer to reply to a message, they start overthinking. If she seems distant one day, they panic and try to fix it. If she pulls back a little, they chase harder, asking questions, seeking reassurance, trying to bring things back to how they were. But every time a man reacts like this, he unknowingly gives away something very valuable: his emotional stability. When a woman can predict every reaction you're going to have, the mystery disappears. She knows exactly how to push your buttons, exactly how you'll respond, and exactly how much control she has over your emotions. And when there is no mystery, attraction slowly begins to fade. But everything changes when a man becomes emotionally grounded. When you stop reacting to every little thing, you become unpredictable in the most attractive way. If she sends a message late, you don't panic. If she cancels plans, you simply continue living your life. If she tests your patience or tries to provoke an emotional reaction, you remain calm and composed instead of getting pulled into the drama. This kind of emotional control creates something powerful: curiosity. Now, she can't read you as easily as before. She starts wondering what's going on in your mind. She starts paying closer attention to your behavior.
Mm.
Instead of you constantly thinking about her, she begins thinking about you. And that curiosity is where attraction grows. Women are naturally drawn to men who are emotionally steady because it signals confidence and strength. It shows that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's approval or mood. It shows that you have your own life, your own direction, and your own internal balance. When a man is emotionally detached in this healthy way, he becomes harder to manipulate and harder to control. And ironically, that's when he becomes far more attractive. Because now she knows she can't simply pull your attention whenever she wants. She knows she actually has to earn it. The moment you stop reacting to every emotional wave is the moment the dynamic begins to shift. Instead of you trying to figure out what she's thinking, she starts trying to understand what you're thinking. And when curiosity enters the picture, attraction has room to grow again, because the truth is simple. The more emotionally centered you become, the more intriguing you become to her. Her attraction has a language that most people never take the time to understand. It's not about saying the perfect words, sending the perfect text, or constantly trying to prove how much you care. Attraction responds to something much deeper than that. It responds to strength, not physical strength alone, but emotional strength, confidence, and self respect. The problem is that many men confuse effort with attraction. They believe that if they give more, try harder, and show more need for the relationship, the woman will appreciate it and become more attached. But in reality, excessive neediness often creates the opposite effect. Neediness sends a quiet message without you even realizing it. It says that your happiness depends on her attention. It says that you're afraid of losing her. It says that you need constant reassurance to feel secure. And while that may feel like love from the inside, from the outside it often looks like insecurity, and insecurity slowly drains attraction. When a woman feels that a man needs her more than he wants her, something changes in the way she sees him. Instead of viewing him as someone strong and centered, she begins to see him as someone who relies on her for validation. The balance of the relationship shifts again, and once that balance is gone, the spark often begins to fade. But everything changes when a man stops seeking approval and starts standing firmly in his own value. A confident man doesn't chase validation because he already respects himself. He doesn't panic if someone pulls away because he knows his worth isn't determined by one person's opinion. He doesn't beg for attention or try to force connection. Instead, he simply shows up as himself and allows people to meet him at that level. That kind of confidence is incredibly attractive because it signals stability. It shows that you are emotionally strong enough to handle rejection, distance, or uncertainty without losing your center. It tells the world that you are a man who has options, a man who values his time, and a man who knows what he brings to the table. When a woman senses that kind of strength, something instinctive happens. She begins to respect you more. And respect is the foundation that attraction is built on. Think about it this way. When someone knows they can walk away and you'll still be standing tall, living your life, focused on your goals, they start seeing you differently. You're no longer someone trying to win their approval. You're someone who already approves of himself, and that energy changes the entire dynamic. Instead of chasing attention, you become the man whose attention actually means something. Instead of trying to convince someone of your value, your actions quietly demonstrate it every single day, because at the end of the day, real attraction doesn't grow from neediness, it grows from strength. One of the biggest reasons attraction fades in many relationships because something that was once special slowly becomes ordinary. When attention, affection, and effort are constantly available without limit, they stop feeling valuable. They become expected. And when something becomes expected, people naturally begin to take it for granted. This happens more often than most men realize. At the beginning, when two people first meet, there's excitement, there's curiosity, every message feels meaningful, every moment feels important, and both people are putting in effort to win each other's time and attention. But over time, some men begin pouring in more and more energy without noticing that the balance is slowly shifting. They start being the one who always initiates, always plans, always checks in, always reassures, always tries to maintain the connection no matter what. Their attention becomes constant, predictable, and unlimited. And once something becomes unlimited, it loses its perceived value. Human nature has a strange way of working. People rarely appreciate something while it is guaranteed. Instead, they begin appreciating it the moment they feel it slipping away. This is why the moment you pull your energy back, the dynamic often begins to change. When you stop constantly giving attention, when you stop chasing every interaction, when you stop making someone the center of your emotional world, something powerful happens. The energy that was once freely flowing toward her suddenly becomes limited. Now, the attention she once received effortlessly is no longer automatic, and that change forces her to notice something she may not have been thinking about before. She starts realizing that the person who was always there, always present, and always invested is now focusing somewhere else. Your energy is no longer orbiting around her. You're living your life again, focusing on your goals, your purpose, and the things that make you grow as a man. That shift creates a moment of reflection. Now she begins asking herself questions she never had to ask before. Why is he different now? Why isn't he reacting the same way? Is he losing interest? Is he moving on? Did I push him away? The fear of losing something valuable is a powerful emotional trigger. People often don't fully recognize the value of what they have until they feel the possibility of losing it. And when that feeling appears, it naturally pulls their attention back toward the person who created that value in the first place. This doesn't mean you are playing games or trying to manipulate someone. It simply means you stopped over giving your energy and started respecting your own time, your own focus, and your own life. Because the truth is simple. When your attention is constant, it becomes background noise. But when your attention becomes selective, it becomes valuable again. And the moment your presence becomes something that can actually be lost is the moment people start realizing how much it meant to have it. One of the most attractive things a man can have in his life is purpose. Not just interests, not just hobbies, but a clear direction that he's moving toward. Something that drives him to wake up in the morning with energy and focus. Because when a man is deeply connected to his mission in life, the way he approaches relationships changes completely. Many men make the mistake of placing the relationship at the center of their world. Once they start liking a woman, she slowly becomes their main focus. Their mood depends on her texts, their happiness depends on her attention, their schedule starts revolving around her availability. And without realizing it, they slowly start neglecting the very things that once made them interesting and attractive in the first place. The goals, the ambition, the personal growth, the drive. When those things fade into the background, the relationship begins carrying a weight it was never meant to carry. Instead of being a beautiful addition to a man's life, it becomes the foundation of his emotional stability. And when that happens, the balance starts to disappear. But everything changes when a man puts his mission first. When your life is built around your purpose, your time becomes valuable. Your attention becomes intentional. You are not constantly waiting for someone to respond or trying to fill every moment with relationship conversations. You have things to build, goals to pursue, challenges to overcome, and a life that continues moving forward whether someone is standing beside you or not. And that energy is incredibly powerful. A man who is focused on his growth naturally carries himself differently. He is calmer, more confident, and less reactive to small emotional fluctuations. He doesn't feel the need to chase validation because his sense of accomplishment comes from the progress he's making in his own life. When a woman interacts with a man like this, she can feel that difference immediately. She senses that he is not looking for someone to complete him. Instead, he already has direction and fulfillment within himself. That makes his attention far more meaningful because it's not coming from emptiness or loneliness, it's coming from choice. When a man with purpose chooses to spend time with someone, it feels valuable because that time could easily be spent pursuing his goals, improving his life, or building his future. That kind of focus also creates a natural sense of independence. You're not clinging to the relationship for identity. You're inviting someone to join you on a journey that you were already committed to long before they arrived. And that's the key difference. Instead of making someone the center of your life, you become the center of your own life. The relationship becomes something that enhances your journey rather than something that defines it. Ironically, the moment you stop seeking validation from someone else is the moment your presence becomes far more attractive to them. Because a man with purpose doesn't chase attention, he attracts it by the way he lives. There is a strange paradox when it comes to attraction that most people don't understand until they experience it themselves. The harder you try to force someone to stay, the more the connection begins to slip away. But the moment you relax, let go of control, and stop trying to manage every outcome, attraction often begins to grow again. This happens because real attraction cannot be forced. It cannot be negotiated, begged for, or logically explained into existence. Attraction is something that grows naturally when two people feel free to choose each other. The moment pressure enters the picture, that freedom begins to disappear. Many men unknowingly create that pressure. They try to control the direction of the relationship by constantly checking in, constantly asking where things are going, constantly trying to secure reassurance about feelings and commitment. From their perspective, they're just trying to protect the relationship, but from the other side, it can start to feel heavy. When someone feels like they're being emotionally managed, they begin to pull away, not because they dislike the person, but because they need space to breathe and make their own choices. And the more someone pulls away, the more the other person often tightens their grip, trying even harder to fix things. This creates a cycle that slowly pushes attraction further away. But the moment a man understands the paradox of attraction, everything starts to shift. Instead of trying to control every outcome, he begins allowing things to unfold naturally. He stops obsessing over every small detail of the relationship. He stops trying to force feelings to grow faster than they naturally would. He simply shows up as his best self and allows the connection to develop at its own pace. When you stop trying to control someone's feelings, you create space for them to experience those feelings on their own. There's no pressure, no emotional weight, and no sense that they're being pushed into something before they're ready. That freedom is incredibly powerful because it allows attraction to breathe. Now the relationship no longer feels like something that needs to be managed or maintained through constant effort. Instead, it becomes something that naturally pulls two people together when the chemistry is right. And here's the irony most men eventually discover: the moment you stop trying to hold on so tightly is often the moment someone starts leaning closer because now they feel free to choose you rather than feeling like they have to stay. When someone feels that kind of freedom around you, they begin associating your presence with peace instead of pressure. Your company becomes enjoyable rather than demanding. Your connection becomes something they move toward rather than something they feel pushed into. And that's the real secret most people miss. Attraction grows strongest in an environment where both people feel free, respected, and emotionally safe to be themselves. Because the truth is simple: the less you try to control attraction, the more naturally it begins to appear.